teenager Junpei Kasaka attempts to avoid contact with cats due to his allergy of them. However, one day, he accidentally damages the statue of a cat deity. According to the Buddhist monk Kizo Kirishima, one would be cursed with the ability to talk to cats as a consequence, tasked of attending 100 requests from them, with the risk of being transformed into a cat himself if he fails to do so. The first request he receives, from Nyamsis and Tama, is to help the stray cats in the local park who have been tormented by a stranger, leaving them devastated. At the mall, he runs into his crush Kid Mizuno, and while on the way home, the tormentor later turns out to be Kid, who has an extreme fondness for cats to the point of smothering them. Junpei must help a Kaba cat to give his thanks to a girl who helped him. However, she is actually Kanako Sumiyoshi, a childhood acquaintance of his who wears manban makeup. During the annual high school cultural festival, she is determined to get him to do her bidding. He hesitates to give his thanks since she has changed after the time she saw him give her cat doll to another girl when they were kids. However, a student inadvertently spills a bucket of water on Kanako, wiping off her makeup, and after she loses her temper and chases him, Kid finds her to dry her off. After the cultural festival, Junpei gives his thanks to Kanako and they reconcile. The Kaba cat later moves in with Junpei until he can find another home. Junpei meets Chizuru Machizuki, a postwoman who has no sense of direction, and decides to help her. While roaming the city with her, he also helps the cats with their various requests. However, hanging around with her ends up putting him on a series of misunderstandings with people he knows, much to his despair. Junpei reminisces to when he first met Kid on the first day of school, remembering how she tried to rescue a cat up on a tree, but accidentally slipped and landed on him. After she helped him up, he fell in love with her ever since then. Junpei receives a letter from Nagi Ikanos, an upperclassman of his, who challenges him to a duel. But since he ignored this letter for 3 days, Nagi passes out due to stress. During a downpour, Junpei, Kid, and Kanako take an unconscious Nagi to her house, which so happens to be a mansion of a Yakuza. Jai, Naga's grandfather, treats the three to his home. While there, Junpei is requested from Josephine, a cat owned by Nagi, to make Nagi fall in love. While Kid and Kanako are taking a bath, Junpei is sent to Naga's bedroom, where he is surprised to figure out that Nagi is a girl who is in love with Kid and she also fears lightning due to her past encounter. She was also devastated when her first crush turned her down for her boyish appearance. After calming her down, he departs from the mansion, with Josephine satisfied by the fact that Nagi will now act more feminine. Junpei is given a pair of tickets to an amusement park from Nagi, who wants to settle things with him. Kid and Kanako end up coming along, much to Nagi's disappointment. While Kanako takes Junpei to a roller coaster ride, Nagi tells Kid something that has been making her blush in front of Junpei. In a haunted house and then on the Ferris wheel, Junpei sees this as the perfect chance to get closer to Kid. However, their brief moments are ruined when Nagi captures a picture of them and Kanako attacks Junpei out of jealousy. Soon enough, Kid begins to develop feelings for Junpei, concerned of who he might have an interest in. After school, as the sun is about to set, Kid goes off to search for Junpei, but when she finds him, she secretly witnesses him at the Buddhist temple in front of a girl, who is aware of his curse. The next day at the Buddhist temple, Junpei meets Katon Kirishima and Akari Kirishima, twins with opposite personalities, both knowing about his curse due to their ability to sense the supernatural. They later decided to help on his ordeal. Tama and Noir, the cat owned by the twins, have been in rivalry with each other for a long time. This is because Tama used to be pampered and spoiled after being adopted into the temple because of his rare breed. As Junpei follows Tama and Noir around the neighborhood, he runs into Kid, who is walking her pack of dogs. Although Tama and Noir argue, they eventually settle their differences. However, Junpei inadvertently causes Kid the wrong impression when he could not hear her over the cats, making her cry and leave. He later apologizes to her for the misunderstanding. Junpei sets for a school trip to Kyoto with his classmates, but he barely has time to enjoy the trip when word about him spread among the local cats who flood him with requests. As Junpei, Kid, and Kanako later spend the day together, they soon stumble upon the fact that Nagi, whose family is situated in Kyoto, is there to attend an annual meeting. This meeting is in fact an arrangement to have Nagi choose a husband, a decision which she would always decline. Junpei is tasked to help a cat named Michai to get in shape in order to be able to catch sparrows to win the favor of his beloved. However, he is interrupted by Nagi, who wants him to join her track and field club with Kid. When Junpei starts to neglect his promise with Michai, the latter decides to enact revenge by putting him in a very embarrassing situation. Junpei was keeping hold of Kid's handkerchief to return it to her the following day, but instead he pulls out from his bag her underwear that had been missing from her locker the day before. After Michai apologizes for his actions, Junpei trains him to become much stronger than ever, being able to be with his beloved. Junpei tells Kid about the mix-up and returns the handkerchief back to her. The gang sets for a leisure time at the swimming pool before final exams. Junpei get a nosebleed after trying to catch Kid in the pool when she was knocked over by Kanako and Nagi fighting. He later asks Kanako to help him get a cat to climb over the wall outside before returning to the pool. The next day, Junpei catches cold and misses class, so Kanako visits to give him the study guide handouts and take care of him. To make matters more complicated, Junpei meets Chadora, an overweight cat in need of a diet, but he is upset by the fact that this cat rejects such advice at first, making him feel lightheaded. As Kanako puts Junpei to rest, she struggles with her true feelings for him, abruptly leaving before he wakes up. The final exam takes place the following day. Everyone except Kanako passed their exam, so she needs to do a report on local history to pass as well. Junpei has Katon and Akari to show his friends around the neighborhood to gather such information. However, his friends joke around with a Manky Nico figurine, which urges Katon and Akari to stop them due to a superstition of being cursed, and purify the figurine through a chant. At night, Katon and Akari end up counting on Junpei's unexpected help to deal with the spirit of the Manky Nico figurine who threatens to kill them. With their combined and struggling effort, they eventually manage to destroy the spirit. As the second semester comes to a close, everyone prepares as Christmas approaches. Kanako stumbles upon Junpei, who is taking a part-time job as a postman, inviting him to go with her to the movie theater. Before going there, they spent some quality time together in the mall. Kanako enjoys her time with him, recalling how great her friendship with him was in the past. The next day, Kanako, who worked part-time at a concession stand, gives Kid a present. When she goes to the park, she overhears Junpei talking about a curse while he rescues a kitten from a tree to bring down for a cat. Junpei suddenly begins to turn into a cat, having Katon and Akari help sneak him out of the post office unnoticed. He feels that Kid is suspicious of his secret, so he must find a way to dissuade her before being stricken with the full force of his curse. He comes up with a plan to fake being cursed by the Manky Nico figurine, having Katon and Akari purifying it afterwards. However, Nagi accidentally takes off his hat, which reveals his cat ears, causing him to run away to the park. At this point he fully transforms in a cat, and Kid then finds him there, not knowing it is him. As the local cats in the area gather around her, Kid realizes how Junpei cared for the cats, believing he was never cursed. This seemingly reverses the curse, which returns Junpei back to a human, but he finds out that it had just abated. Junpei must continue to do good deeds for cats as the new year begins.